If you missed Tuesday night's Race Chat Live, the crew talked about whether it was an advantage or disadvantage to be a two-car team. Listening.
Are these teams at a specific advantage being a two-car operation? I know, like, notes-wise, they've got to be in a disadvantage because they don't have as many of course, they don't have as many people working for them. But at the same time, we've always felt like this four-car theory, right? The fourth car is the garbage car. That's the car that all the leftovers go to. So does that leave these two-car teams at an advantage because they're not having to overproduce things? And in this day and age where they're not really building the car or anything, they're basically just putting it together and trying to figure out what way to mold that into their own car. Has that made it beneficial to be just a two-car team in this new age? I'll start with you, Ms. Lee.
I absolutely think it is an advantage because you don't have to spread your people so thin. You don't have to spread your money so thin. I think it definitely does give them an advantage. And this plays into something that I was thinking earlier while we were talking about Blaney and Penske, is that Penske has the three cars, but there's not a red-headed stepchild so much like there is at Gibbs. And, I watched this. I watched Joey Logano come up and come through Gibbs. And when he was on their Cup team, he was the red-headed stepchild. And I feel like that every year there has been somebody at Gibbs who's been a red-headed stepchild. And I don't think you don't see that with these two-car teams because they can devote enough time and attention to both of them. And again, like I said, they're not spread so thin, their money's not spread so thin that they can really give them the attention they deserve to do their best with and for them.
So technically, there's three two-car teams that are worth mentioning, and that is four, right? Let's do Richard Childress Racing. Let's do of course Trackhouse. Let's do
RFK
Denny Hamlin's 2311, and 2311, right? And now, of course,
Front Row, Paulig, Spire. I mean, I know those are lower teams, but, I mean, Legacy is kind of a two-car team if you think about it.
But Colleague's only got the one full-time Cup car.
No, they got two.
Right?
They got two.
They're both full-time?
Yeah.
Okay.
The 13 car is their part-time car that Davenport raced at Bristol for the dirt race. I think it was used for one or two other races after that. I don't remember off the top of my head.
Okay.
But in my case, I think having a two-car team is an advantage in some aspects because it could be in the disadvantage of the money in a sense because you're not as strong as four-car teams per se because the money's just not there, but maybe they're managing the money differently, which could play as their advantage. And depending on the team's vision, with two-car teams, you can place some money more in one versus the other. Like, if you look at RFK and look at Brad Keselowski, part of the reason why he joined Roush and merged with him is because he obviously saw talent in Chris Buescher and he needed some guidance, some help, because it seemed like Buescher just wasn't having it. And while, yes, Keselowski is improving in his own end, it seems like he's bringing Buescher with him. It's not like...
I agree.
it's not like
Yes.
Keselowski's putting all of the eggs in the basket and just him. He's actually spreading it out to where if Keselowski's noticing, oh, hey, I'm improving in category A, B, and C, but the other car is only improving in category D. Where can I improve that second car? Because obviously that driver is a long-term investment versus me. So where can we improve on that aspect? And it seems like he's got it. If you look at Trackhouse, and I'm not pointing any fingers on driver talent here, but I feel like with Trackhouse, you look at how well Ross Chastain's doing. You look at the success of Suarez. Chastain has had more success and stuff like that, and it seems versus Suarez, and it seems like you could tell the big difference between the two cars. So I feel like it's just a matter of how is the two-car team really stealing their money, or where are they really investing, is how I should say. Look at 2311. It feels, at first, we all thought it was all Bubba Wallace, right? And then Kurt Busch started coming around. And then, obviously, Kurt Busch got injured with his concussion, never came back. Ty Gibbs came in, and Ty Gibbs didn't really do much of anything. It could be the lack of knowing the car or the pressure of running two series at once. Now you look at it as, okay, now you have Bubba Wallace, and you have basically starting to prime Tyler Reddick in the Cup Series. So now, and it seems like Tyler Reddick, while Bubba Wallace has the funding and sponsorship big time behind him, it seems like Reddick's got the performance deal where the 45 is performing better than the 23, I feel like, in most weeks. And
For sure.
Now we got to sit here and think of this with the two-car teams. Or can the money aspect keep going with the two-car teams, or are they going to fall into the shoes of, say, like JTG Doherty, who, remember, at one point that team was a two-car team. Then they lost the charter, still two cars, but they lost the charter. And then the year after they lost the charter, they basically said, well, we're just going to get rid of the car in general.
Yeah, I think that NASCAR is to the point now where we're going to have to add 40 charters. If we want to see expansion in the Cup Series and we want to see RFK turn into a three-car team, Denny Hamlin turn into a three-car team, Dale Jr. get to Cup, JTG able to turn into another two-car team, we're going to have to have more charters. And that's going to devalue those that have charters. And I think that's the holdup, and where NASCAR's really they're only in the last 4 or 5 years have these charters actually been worth anything, right? I mean, what was his name? Adam Devine, whatever his name was, that owned the 23 BK racing team, BK team or whatever. He was in court saying literally you're taking the value and you're not understanding what the value of my company is. Front Row paid like $1 million for that charter. But he was in the courtroom saying, look, we're on the verge of these charters being worth a whole lot of money. And he was right. And that's the reason why he was trying to hold off bankruptcy for at least another year, so that the value of the charter system could actually have a chance to take off. Now, when you start adding more charters, what are you doing? You're devaluing the previous owned charters. So I think that's a holdup. But look, guys, either we're going to turn into a two-car series, or these other teams are going to see that they cannot grow without a charter. I'm kind of at a loss here of what we really do. I have noticed the resurgence of two-car teams. That was kind of the go-to. That was Richard Childress, Andy Petrie, even Joe Gibbs was a two-car team for a really long time.